great relevance for India and Japan, as the TITP and SSW program have played a pivotal role in promoting international cooperation through transfer of skills, technique, and knowledge gained by technical interns from various developing nations, including India. And it has been, in the key discussion areas also between the two leaders during the visit of the Japanese PM and the Prime Minister Modi in the recently held India-Japan Annual Summit. So India indicated that it intends to commit on to producing skilled manpower annually in various job roles for Japanese industry and allied sector, both in domestic and overseas demand. So with these few words, I now invite Ms. Jayanti Dalmia, President FICCI Ladies Organization, to give her welcome remarks.
Thank you, Dheeraj. Thank you, Dheeraj ji. Good morning to everyone. His Excellency Mr. Satoshi Suzuki, Ambassador of Japan to India, Ambassador Deepa Gopalan Wadhwa, Chairperson IJFF and former Indian Ambassador to Japan, Mr. Satoshi Yonemaru, First Secretary, Embassy of Japan in India, Dr. Avneet Kaur, Senior Head, Advisory and International Collaborations, National Skill Development Council, Mr. Gaurav Malhotra, Business Head, HNA India Private Limited, Arms Corporation, Incorporation, Mr. Takoko Oshiguchi, CEO, Navis India, and friends from India and Japan. It gives me an absolute pleasure on behalf of FICCI and FLOW to welcome you all to this exclusive session on India-Japan Cooperation of Women Empowerment with a focus on Technical Intern Training Programme and specified skilled worker being organized under the aegis of the India-Japan Friendship Forum. For those of you who are unaware of IJFF, I would like to share that the India-Japan Friendship Forum has been formed under the patronage of Ambassador of Japan to India and is chaired by Ambassador Deepa Wadhwa, former Indian Ambassador to Japan. The Secretariat for IJFF is located and is provided by FICCI, New Delhi. It was launched in January 2019 in New Delhi. The IJFF aims to increase visibility of Japan and India and thereby enhance mutual understanding between India and Japan by showcasing art and culture and exchange knowledge and ideas, and to deepen understanding on Japan amongst Indians. IJFF serves as an umbrella organization for all the Indian and Japanese organizations and Indians working in the space of promoting cultural links and partner with them to foster exchange of people and ideas. IJFF currently has 27 partner organizations spread across India working in promoting India-Japan people-to-people and cultural relations. We have organized several events under the IJFF umbrella in the past 4 years. And this year, we intend to organize even more as it's a special year that commemorates the 70th year of India-Japan diplomatic relations. This program is only a starting of the series of various initiatives to be organized under the celebration of 70 years of India-Japan diplomatic relations. Today's theme and topic is of great relevance for India and Japan, as the TITP and SSW have played a pivotal role in promoting international cooperation through transfer of skills, techniques, and knowledge gained by technical interns from various developing nations, including India. It has been one of the key discussion areas between the two leaders, even during the recently held India-Japan Annual Summit. India also indicated that it intends to commit to producing skilled manpower annually in various job roles for Japanese industry and allied sectors, both for domestic and overseas demand. As per the MSDE plans to promote skill development programs for the Japanese industry, the 4 initiatives such as TITP, SSW, JIM, Japan-India Institute of Manufacturing, and JEC, Japan Endowment courses, would be brought together to produce skilled workers annually for the Japanese industry. Some of these trained workers would go to Japan under TITP and SSW, while others are targeted to be absorbed domestically by the Japanese firms in India. Till now, India has been able to send a total of 238 skilled manpower to Japan under TITP and newly introduced SSW. Ever since the MSDE's National Skill Development Corporation started this initiative in 2019. However, the following 2 years, 2020 and 2021, were marked with COVID pandemic-induced lockdown and restrictions slowing down the skill development initiatives and bringing them to almost a halt. In order to make Indian workforce, especially women, to benefit more through these two initiatives going forward, FICCI and the Embassy of Japan, under the aegis of India-Japan Friendship Forum, is organizing this initiative. We hope today's deliberations benefit the Indian audience present here to leverage both TITP and SSW, and greater exchange of skills takes place between India and Japan. With these few words, I welcome you all again to today's program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Dalmia, for your welcome remarks. I now invite Ambassador Deepa Gopalan Badhwa, Chairperson IJFF and former Indian Ambassador to Japan, for her remarks. Ms. Deepa Gopalan Badhwa has been a distinguished career diplomat who joined Indian Foreign Services in 1979 and retired in December 2015. She has served as an ambassador to India to Japan from 2012 to 2015, then in Qatar in 2009 to 2012, and Sweden in 2005 to 2009. Ms. Wadhwa is currently the chairperson of the India-Japan Friendship Forum, member governing council of the Institute of Chinese Studies, and is also on the governing council of the Asian Confluence based in Shillong. She also serves as an independent director and advisor on the board of few companies.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pasricha. Your Excellency Ambassador Satoshi Suzuki, Mrs. Jayanti Dalmia, President FLO, FICCI Ladies Organization, Mr. Dheeraj Pasricha, Deputy Director FICCI, Dr. Avneet Kaur, representative of the NSDC, Mr. Satoshi Yonimaru, First Secretary Embassy of Japan in India, Mr. Gaurav Malhotra, and Mrs. Takako Oshibuchi, representing sending organizations under the SSW and the TITP program. I would particularly like to welcome to this online, basically a sort of a hybrid meeting that we're having, Mr. Onkar Kanwar, who is a very important part of the IJFF. I would also like to thank Mrs. Jayanti Dalmia for her background on the IJFF. We have tried very hard to be able to fulfill the mandate given to us. The past couple of years have been challenging because of COVID, but we're really happy to restart this, with full vigor now, and particularly because it's the 70th year of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Japan. We do hope and we look forward to many more programs. We are also, I would like to mention at the outset, without the patronage and the support of Ambassador Suzuki and his diplomats in the Japanese embassy in New Delhi, this wouldn't be possible. So thank you all, including all the participants, for being here for this discussion to disseminate information on the SSW and that TITP programs to our audiences from all over India. This is a special focus on the role that these programs can play for women's empowerment in both countries and as a role model for Japan-India cooperation. The genesis of the program goes back actually more than about 15 years to 2006, when of both these programs and this cooperation between our two countries, when a joint study group was set up to deepen India-Japan cooperation and identify demographic complementarities as one such area where India could provide young skilled labor for Japan's issues of an aging population and rising wage costs. From this joint study group, we came to negotiations on a comprehensive economic partnership agreement, which was signed in 2011. And this had provisions for the movement of what is called natural persons and highly skilled persons. And it also noted that in the future, that there would be negotiations on other categories of workers, such as nurses and caregivers and so on, which we do have now. Meanwhile, the India-Japan economic relationship had deepened hugely. And we in India, we were looking to Japan to help us build up a skilled workforce, especially in the manufacturing sector. So there were 3 agreements that had been signed in this period. One was in 2016, and this was between the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and the METI of the government of Japan. This was supposed to be on, it was a 10-year program on manufacturing skill transfer promotion. And to this date, the Japanese industry based in India has launched 13 Japan-India Institutes for Manufacturing and 5 Japanese endowed courses under the Manufacturing Skill Transfer Program. This is extremely, extremely important for India, and we're very grateful to the Japanese for that. The second one is what we're going to talk about, one of the 2 programs we're going to talk about, which is the TITP, and an MOC on this was signed in October 2017. And the objective of this was to expand bilateral cooperation, again, in the field of skill development, but here by getting Indian internees to go and be able to work in Japan and then bring those skills that they have got back to India in sectors such as agriculture, construction, manufacturing, and healthcare. And the third and most recent of these agreements was signed in January 2021, which was a basic framework for partnership for proper operation of the system pertaining to specified skilled workers. And here again, the sectors were identified. And I must say that Ambassador Suzuki had very much to do with this, and was actually the agreement was signed by him and the Foreign Secretary. Now, the importance both countries give to this area of cooperation can be seen by the fact that it has found mention, and I think this was just also mentioned, in the bilateral summits that we've had between our prime ministers. Both, it was mentioned by Prime Minister Abe, later Prime Minister Suga and Prime Minister Modi, and most recently during the visit by Prime Minister Kishida to India, when there's a whole paragraph that is on this program, the potential of it and where it will go in the future. At least the hopes are where it will go in the future. So both these schemes are very, very important for both countries. Today, of course, the IJFF is very happy to be part of this collaboration. We tried to actually spread information about what Japan is doing with our country across to various parts or various sectors of the society. And I do believe that this is an area where we need to reach out to a very large section of people, particularly women, and tell them about the opportunities that these programs will provide. Now, we're very grateful that we have First Secretary Yonemura of the Embassy of Tokyo, who will be informing us, hopefully, of how the system works. Because I think the audiences, they have heard about it, but they really want to know, how does it really work? How do you apply? How does it really work? And we have Dr. Avneet Kaur from the NSDC, who will give the India end of the program. And what do they do? What does NSDC do to be able to encourage this cooperation? Very important, I think, for me, when we were organizing this, and I have to thank everybody in FICCI for all the cooperation that they have given. And particularly, I think I should mention Vrinda, who I've been working with on this, that we needed experiences. So nothing is, I think, such a validation as when you have people who have gone there, undertaken this program, lived in Japan, and have come back and are able to, or are still there, and are able to tell us about their experiences. So we're really fortunate that we have 2 companies here who will be telling us their experiences in sending interns and workers under the SSW program. So once again, thanks to FICCI and to FLO for the support for this initiative. And I really look forward to hearing from the others. And I hope this will also encourage many more to look at this program and to look at the opportunities that these two programs provide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for setting up the tone for today's deliberation. I now invite His Excellency Mr. Satoshi Suzuki, Ambassador of Japan to India, for his special remarks. His Excellency Mr. Satoshi Suzuki has a rich 20+ years of experience across marketing, strategy, and partnership in IT and communication industry. Prior to coming to India, Ambassador Suzuki led the Global Growth Strategy in Corporate Strategy Division at NEC Corporation, headquartered in Japan. Over to you, Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Her Excellency Ambassador Deepa Gopalan Wadhwa, Chairperson IJFF, Ms. Jayanti Dalmia, President FICCI Ladies Organization, Dr. Avneet Kaul, Senior Head, National Skill Development Council, Mr. Gaurav Malhotra, Business Head, H&A India PBT, Mr. Takako Shibuchi, CEO, Navis India, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Namaskar and very good morning to you all. It's a great pleasure for me to address you all today. The Embassy of Japan is honored to work with IJFF to hold this seminar. I would like to thank FICCI for organizing this event by bringing together representatives from TITP, SSW agencies who are working for the cause of women empowerment in India. Japan has been working hard to raise awareness on gender equality and promoting mainstreaming and women's rights for years. At the government level, Japan has established a Gender Equality Bureau within the Cabinet Office in 2001, which is responsible for incentive policy for gender equality and women empowerment, based on the Basic Plan for Gender Equality, which has been revised every 5 years. In 2014, Headquarters for Creating a Society in Which All Women Shine has been established under the Abe administration. They have been working actively to empower women in Japan and abroad since then. Japan has been also advancing women empowerment through official development assistance projects in various fields in India. A shining example is the Delhi Metro, which introduced women-only coaches that have the impact on easy to commute or safe to commute for women or female workers. Other projects are under planning, which aim at the improvement of rural livelihood through sustainable agriculture practices or empowerment of women in mountainous areas. In the seminar on women empowerment held last year in collaboration with IJFF, lack of educational opportunities and lack of awareness of various systems and initiatives were identified as the main challenges hindering women's advancement in India. So we'd like to address these issues. Having said that, let me briefly introduce programs that can potentially provide good opportunities for women, especially those in economically less privileged positions. Japan has a scheme called TITP, Technical Internship Training Programme, as previous speakers kindly mentioned, which accepts human resources from foreign countries to acquire job skills. Also, we have recently created a new status of residence called SSW, Specified Skilled Worker. This status allows foreign workers to reside and work in Japan under the same conditions as Japanese people doing the same work. Of course, TITP trainees can apply for SSW after finishing 3 years internship in Japan and can continue to stay in Japan once they clear qualification test. So simply put, TITP is internship for skill development, and SSW is work permit for regular employment of professional works. India is keen to send its abundant human resources to Japan, as was stressed in the joint statement issued after the recent annual summit meeting between our two leaders. For both TITP and SSW, the sector in high demand in Japan is nursing care or caregiving. This is a familiar sector for women, I think. And such sectors as hospitality, agriculture, and manufacturing are also open for Indian women. So if more women from India start working in Japan under these schemes, I'm sure they will not only be economically more empowered, but also be able to obtain a necessary or higher skill set during their stay in Japan, that eventually enhance their self-reliance when they are back in India. This is why I think today's seminar is quite relevant. I hope that more people, especially young women, will come to know about the TITP and SSW schemes so that they will be able to benefit from these schemes. This year marks the 70th anniversary of the establishment of our diplomatic ties, and I'm very pleased that we are celebrating it together with the 75th anniversary of India's independence. At the recent summit meeting, the two leaders reaffirmed their commitment to promote people-to-people exchanges, including exchange of youth, sports players, tourists, as well as TITP and SSW participants. I hope that this seminar will be instrumental in enabling more frequent exchanges and creating much stronger ties between our two countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for your remarks and for sharing your thoughts and vision for the TITP and SSW initiatives. With this, I now invite Mr. Satoshi Yonemaru, First Secretary, Embassy of Japan in India, to give his presentation on TITP and SSW programs. Mr. Satoshi Yonemaru has been working in the capacity of First Secretary in the Embassy of Japan in India since August 2019. He has been promoting TITP and SSW programs from India while coordinating with the Government of India, NSDC, and other standing organizations. Over to you, Mr. Satoshi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for introducing me. Good morning, everyone. I'm Satoshi Yonemaru from Embassy of Japan. I'm very honored to be here. Thank you so much. And taking this opportunity, I'd like to introduce a promising people-to-people exchange programs. First is TITP, Technical Intern Training Program. And the second one is Specified Skilled Worker, which is called SSW. Oh, let me show you my screen. Wait a moment. Yes, is it okay? Okay. And from the outset, I need to mention these schemes don't have any difference on different setting, don't have any different setting on gender. So regardless of gender, TITP and SSW, the both systems are always and equally open to all people in the same way and in the same manner. So today, I would like to touch on the overview of the both systems. And next slide. How can I come over to? Excuse me, how can I turn over to the next page? Sorry, I can't turn over the page to the next one. Could you control from the
Please
admin?
stop sharing and share again.
Okay, let me do so. Okay, let me try again.
Now click on the screen and use arrow keys or enter key.
No, it's not working. Enter key. Yeah, not working.
Okay, so
we can do it for
Rajkumarji, we
you.
can share
Yeah,
the
we can.
presentation.
Can you all do it, please, Linda? Can you do it,
Okay.
please, for him?
Yes, please.
Can you see the screen? My right?
Yeah, we can see the slide. Yeah,
Okay.
please go ahead.
I think if you don't mind, may I continue to
Yeah.
continue the presentation on not screenshot.
So you can
Sure.
go on to
but,
2,
yeah,
Linda.
yeah, sorry.
Number 2.
Yeah.
And could you see the screen? Is it okay right now?
Yes,
Right. Yes,
Okay.
fine.
we can.
And
Yeah.
at first, I want to emphasize why we have been doing a lot of work to promote people-to-people exchanges with respect to work or employment. The reason is that it leads to the women relationship under the respective circumstances. From Japan to India, on the above side, Japan can provide the opportunity for Indian nationals to work in Japan, and they can get the salary at the same level as Japanese workers. And Indian workers can obtain the vocational skills and Japanese language. So even after return to Japan, India, they can utilize the abilities to get better jobs. And with regard to from India to Japan, in the second one, India can provide the affluent workforce to make up for the labor shortage in Japan, as Ambassador Wadua mentioned. And actually, the rate of 65 years old above in Japan has reached 28% right now. That means 3 people in 10 people in Japan are 65 years old and above. So we are confident that Japan and India can supplement each other, and the people-to-people exchange are very significant for both countries. And next, let me explain the scheme of TITP and SSW. Regarding TITP, it is basically the 3-year working scheme in Japan while receiving vocational training. And regarding SSW, it is a 5-year working scheme as a regular worker. So both schemes are the working schemes, but the difference is whether it is also a training or not. And I'd like to touch on the details of TITP at first. The most important point is that TITP is a working scheme as well as training. That's why the labor regulations of Japan are perfectly applicable to TITP trainees. And that both countries' authorities monitor what is happening on the actual implementation. As a result, the scheme is protecting TITP trainees from overtime working or other working conditions. And next slide is the range of industries on TITP. It is divided into roughly 7 parts. From the first, agriculture, fishery, construction, food, textile, machinery and metals, and others. On the 7th one, others, a care worker and accommodation are included in the middle of the list in 7th others. those industries, care worker or accommodation, are the areas Japanese stakeholders are very interested in. And I know that many of the Japanese stakeholders are eager to accept foreign workers and the female workers rather than men, maybe. It is highly common for women to work in the industry in Japan. I think the good practice will be reported or introduced by standing organizations later from Ms. or Navis. And next one is a flowchart, which shows the procedures of sending TITP trainees. The first step is recruiting by sending organizations. There are more than 30 sending organizations in India, sorry, which have been designated by NSDC. Sorry for interruption. Which have been designated by NSDC under the Indian Skill Ministry. And the standing organizations provide the prerequisite training like Japanese language or vocational skill or Japanese cultures. And its standing organizations will arrange the job interview and support the visa process and even support the life in Japan after entry into Japan. So standing organizations completely accompany all procedures to make everything smooth. And next slide is the website of NSDC, and everyone can find the standing organization list, and each contact point or like phone number or email address is also available in the list. And the next slide is regarding SSW. SSW is a new scheme established in 2019. The objective is to accept foreign workers to make up for the labor shortage in Japan. And TITP is also a working scheme, but the main objective is transferring the vocational skills. But SSW is absolutely a working scheme, and SSW workers are regarded as regular Japanese workers. That's why SSW workers are required to pass the Japanese language test and the skill test in advance of the entry into Japan. As a result, SSW workers can get higher salary than TITP generally. And the next one is the table listing SSW industry. Sorry, letters are very small, but many of industries overlapped with TITP, like care worker, machinery, construction, accommodation, agriculture, fishery, food. And in the top of the list, nothing here is written, described, but it represents care worker in SSW. It's a little bit confusing, but the same meaning as TITP's care worker. And as you can see in the previous page, in the last part, point 2, option subsequent to TITP, after completion of the 3 years duration of TITP, they're eligible to switch to SSW without test. So that means TITP trainees can switch to SSW without any test as long as they hope and it is in the same industry. It is the advantage for TITP trainees who want to continue to stay in Japan. And the next slide is the flowchart of SSW sending procedures. It is much simpler than TITP. The only requirement to pass the test and to get the job and to get the visa. But it would be difficult for many cases, many people to do such complicated procedures not complicated, but such procedures by themselves. So standing organizations of TITP can support the procedures if sending SSW candidates hope to receive the support. And in fact, many cases are getting into track by getting the support from technical organizations of TITP. And the next slide is the progress of SSW. As I mentioned, it is quite new scheme, and we have accumulated lots of discussion with the government of India, and finally signed the MOC in January last year between Ambassador Suzuki and the Foreign Secretary, Mr. Shringla. And in September and October 2021, respectively, the summit interactions took place, and it also mentioned SSW as an important topic. And the next slide is, and then eventually the SSW tests were launched in India in January this year, just 3 months ago. It is very remarkable and outstanding achievement for India, we are thinking, because there are several countries where the SSW tests have not started after the signing of MOC. India is quite late. India is a lot of countries where which has signed the MOC compared to other countries, but India has passed the other countries regarding the implementation of the test. And however, there are some challenges on SSW test. At present, the number of SSW test takers are limited, unfortunately. There must be several reasons. The biggest reason is lack of awareness of the test among Indian youth. And there are other issues such as limited venues of SSW tests currently implemented in Gurgaon only. And as described in the third one, limited industry of SSW skill test currently implemented on caregiving area only. But it is very difficult, and maybe in the program, that means unless the number of test takers increases in Gurgaon in the area of caregiving, it's a little bit difficult to broaden the venues of industries of the test. So we will continue to disseminate the existing of the test in India and how attractive working as SSW in Japan is. The opportunity for me to explain here is also precious and very significant. Also, I'd like to request the participants here to spread this information to the business partners or friends or colleagues or families. It is very important to spread out this information to many people. And in the end, I'd like to highlight the latest Prime Minister's meeting on 19th March. In the joint statement, it is mentioned that the Prime Ministers concurred to work together to boost the number of skilled Indians through these existing frameworks. So we will continue to support sending organizations and the stakeholders in collaboration with the government of India. That's the last slide. So before closing, I'd like to emphasize good news about the border restrictions of Japan. Finally, the border restrictions have been eased since this March, and the TITP and SSW workers have started to enter Japan eventually. So we are thinking it's a time to accelerate TITP and SSW. In the central part, in the middle of part of this slide, as I wrote in April this year, we conducted a survey to 9 tending organizations in order to grasp the actual situation and the prospect of this year. And the answer is, according to the 9 tending organizations, in total, about 1,000 1,000 to Indian workers are estimated to go to Japan as TITP or SSW only from 9 sending organizations. If I think the COVID-19 situation, the border restrictions will not be strict again. And we are expecting this is the initial step for the coming expansion of the people-to-people exchanges. And we will also continue to support all the people so that the appropriate implementation of the dispatch will be observed under the proper labor conditions based on the MOC. It is also a very important issue. And we'd like many people from India to come to Japan to work and to understand each other. And I wish many Indian people will think of Japan as the closest friend. And here, let me end my presentation. Thank you for giving me a great opportunity. And I think, I'm sorry, I have passed the time a little bit. Over to you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yonenaru, for your detailed presentation on TITP and SSW schemes. I now invite Dr. Avneet Kaur, Senior Head, Advisory and International Collaboration, National Skill Development Council, NSDC, to give her presentation. Dr. Avneet Kaur is a specialist in public policy development and organization management with over 17 years of international experience. She is currently with the National Skill Development Council, New Delhi, where she manages impact investments, international technical advisory service, international workforce mobility, and other strategy initiatives. Prior to this, she has worked with government, noticeably on the World Bank Skill India Mission project at the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, and with the Behavior Insights team incubated in the Cabinet Office, London. Over to you, Dr. Kaur.
Thank you so much, Dheeraj. Very good morning to all my esteemed panelists. His Excellency, Mr. Satoshi Suzuki, Ambassador of Japan to India, Ambassador Deepa Gopalan Vadva, Chairperson IGFF, Ms. Jayanti Dalmia, President FICCI Ladies Organization, Mr. Satoshi Yonenaru, First Secretary, Embassy of Japan in India, and Mr. Dheeraj and other people from the organizing the committee at FICCI. I'm honored to be part of this session today, and thank you to all the speakers before this for setting the context, particularly Satoshi-san for going into the details of the two programs. So I have a small presentation that I will quickly put up, and I'll also try not to repeat some of the things that have already been shared in some detail by the other speakers. Is this visible?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you. So just to begin with a very quick idea on what National Skill Development Corporation is. NSDC is a public-private partnership that works under the aegis of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and the private sector. The public shareholding of NSDC equals to 49%, which is by the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India. And the remaining 51% of share capital is held by private organizations such as ASSOCHAM, FICCI, NASSCOM, CII, and others. And NSDC was essentially envisioned to be a private sector-led body driven by market needs. The role that NSDC has been playing in the skill ecosystem spreads across various opportunities, right from financing to implementation of government schemes, capacity building, establishing the private sector-led sector skill councils, establishing standards through the National Skill Qualification Framework, connecting with industry, particularly through establishing apprenticeship programs, conducting market research and analytics, providing assessment and certification, ensuring that all this is done on a digitally enabled platform called the Skill India portal. And finally, also a lot of work that we do in international collaborations and knowledge and advisory services. In terms of impact, NSDC has so far invested $260.60 million to catalyze the creation of capacity, which equals to around 700 training providers that run 11,000 training centers across the country. And we have delivered training to 28 million candidates, 50% of whom have been provided with jobs. And inclusion is a very important agenda for NSDC. So 50% of the trainees are women, and there is also a high emphasis on ensuring inclusion of people from minority communities and people with disability. So this is a very topical discussion that we have today, with a view on how to promote the two programs for women in India. The impact of what we have done so far has been quite reasonable. It has some of the surveys have shown that through the training that NSDC and skilling and assessment and certification that has been provided, the chances of employment for people who go through our programs increase by 2%. There is a reported rise in 15% of the income that they command after going through this program. And a large percentage, close to 80%, report that their confidence also increases once they go through a program such as this. NSDC International, particularly the specific vertical that has been created to facilitate the Skill India International mission, the objectives of which include making India a global source for quality talent, providing global job opportunities for resident Indians, providing global career mobility opportunities for Indians overseas, and creating an internationally benchmarked quality skills ecosystem. So all these objectives are also going to ensure that when we work in the context of India-Japan collaboration, these aspects are further strengthened. The other strategic areas that this leads to are providing overseas placement, offshore services, staffing services, international assessment and certification, foreign language training, which is extremely important when we work in international markets, training on future skills, which is the area that all other countries are interested in, and establishing skill training institutes in destination markets. NSDC has also established very recently a state-of-the-art supply network called Skill India International Network. This was recently inaugurated in the presence of the Honorable Minister of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Shri Dharmendra Pradhan, where one of our skill centers called the Skill Development Institute in Bhubaneswar in the state of Orissa in India was inaugurated as the first such center. And we have so far incorporated 250 such high quality international standard centers, which include various institutes of hotel management, engineering colleges, nursing institutes, industrial training institutes, and others. The opportunities for Indian youth in Japan, all the previous speakers have spoken in detail and explained this very nicely, so thank you for doing that. We have already heard about the Technical Intern Training Programme, the Specified Skilled Workers Program. So NSDC is the implementing organization for both these programs. In addition, there's also a huge demand in Japan for highly skilled IT professionals. And this is something that we are exploring, and we are working with private agencies to understand what the nature of this demand is and how, as NSDC, we can fulfill this demand. This is important. This talks about what the benefits of TITP and SSW are for Indian youth. And some of these things have been alluded to already, but at the cost of repetition, I think it's good to establish that when it comes to the significance of these programs, and I work across several countries. NSDC has engagements with over 25 active engagements with over 25 countries. But the sort of compensation and the work culture that is offered in Japan is unparalleled. So one, of course, the biggest advantage is the attractive compensation. And although TITP is an internship program, in spite of that, it is very nicely set up. Second is an exposure to Japanese work culture, the quality management, and innovative techniques that are deployed in the country, which are renowned globally. Personality development of these youth by interacting with various other people, stakeholders, people from different nationalities. Ultimately, all this leads to an increase in their productivity, not only in Japan, but in case they want to come back to India, then it really serves the purpose of industry in India as well. And finally, they get an opportunity to get a permanent residency in Japan if they stay on for over 10 years. In terms of progress, we have already looked at some of these numbers, but just to repeat again, in 2019, just before the pandemic, about 150 students had gone under the TITP program. And since the borders have opened in March, we have already seen 85 students travel to Japan. So that just gives us an idea of what the rest of the year holds like. And I do would like to believe that, the survey that was conducted by Satoshi-san, those numbers are actually, they come alive. So we will work very closely to ensure that that happens. In terms of SSW, so far 20 TITP interns have converted to SSW, and approximately 30 candidates from other sending organizations have cleared the tests. And Satoshi-san has already mentioned the limitations that we have as of now on SSW in terms of the centers being limited and also the sectors. And those are things that we are working towards. And very soon we hope that this will also take off in the way that TITP has. Now, focusing finally, and this is the last slide, on the story of women empowerment that this entire program of TITP and SSW has brought out. So the overall female participation percentage in TITP stands at more than 30%. And female participation is more than 90% in the care worker category, which is a good thing because that's also the sector which is highest in demand in Japan. And increased female participation is being encouraged by NSDC as well as our sending organization, especially in women-centric job categories such as care worker, accommodation, which is under the hospitality sector, food manufacturing, and other textile-related jobs. Some of the challenges that we have seen when it comes to women, and we are working very closely with our sending organizations and other stakeholders to overcome these challenges. One is the language barrier. So although language barrier is more of a universal challenge for both men and women, but for women, there is a particular hesitation to undertake a language which is also considered to be slightly tougher. Second, and something a little more obvious is, the social constraints in India in terms of the norms around family and marriage and getting settled, which prevents them from undertaking this long-term project. Third is the lack of awareness on women's safety. So I think there's a lot of advocacy that we need to do to promote the fact that Japan is one of the most safest societies for women in the world. And there is also an economic constraint because of the high fees, both for language training and other things that they need to put in for being facilitated to go from India to Japan. However, keeping these challenges aside, like I said, that over more than 30% of them are women, and we will ensure that we take a target of equaling this to 50% in the coming years. One of the success stories that maybe many of our people in the audience and in the panel might have heard of is of Sanjana, who is an Indian technical intern. She won the prestigious 29th Foreign Technical Intern Training contest that was organized by JITCO. So the competition is held every year to encourage improvement of Japanese language proficiency among foreign technical interns through handwritten Japanese essays. And it is noteworthy that Sanjana won this prize in the excellent category, being among the top 8 out of 2,600 other participants from multiple countries such as China, Vietnam, Indonesia, and others, while being the only Indian female to have achieved this feat. So Sanjana received a commendation letter from JITCO along with a cash award of 30,000 yen as her winning prize. Now that's a great story, particularly coming from a woman that needs to be told and retold and act, hopefully Sanjana will act as a motivation for many other women going forward. In addition, some of the important aspects include the fact that Sanjana is able to remit a very significant amount of money back home to India every month. She's also funding her younger sister's education, and she is supporting her father to build a home in their village back in Uttarakhand in the Garhwal region. So that's the story of Sanjana, and we are very proud, and we hope that next time when we speak, we have many such stories to share with you. So thank you so much for patiently listening, and I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kaur, for sharing the benefits and the scope for the Indian workforce, especially women under the TITP and SSW schemes. And now I invite Mr. Gaurav Malhotra, Business Head, Arms Incorporation, to share his experience of sending candidates for TITP and SSW schemes from India to Japan. Mr. Gaurav Malhotra has been heading the Technical Intern Training Programme since 2018. Gaurav has been successful in sending 60 interns to Japan and providing them lucrative job opportunities. Under his guidance, around 100 students are being trained under this program. He aims to provide job opportunities to around 300 to 400 trainees yearly through TITP and SSW schemes. Over to you, Gaurav.
Thank you so much, Mr. Dheeraj, for inviting me today and for giving the kind introduction. Just allow me a moment to share my screen. Yeah, hi. Very good morning to everyone. I am Gaurav Malhotra, and today we are going to talk about the TITP program, which is currently being headed by me at Arms Incorporation. So first, we will talk about my organization, Arms Incorporation, followed by our achievement. Then, what does the term implementing organization means, and what do these organizations have to say about our Indian interns? Then we will move on to what are the Indian trainees have to say about their experience in Japan. And then we will talk about supervising organization and prospect of TITP program, followed by a conclusion. So let me start with the introduction of our organization. So basically we are Japan-based organization established in Nagoya in 2001. Arms Incorporation provide various services such as training to new employees for Japanese company, 1 month training for technical interns. In addition, we own 2 Japanese language schools for foreigners in Kanayama and in Aichi Prefecture. We also provide support for obtaining the license of forklift, sling cranes, etc. In India, we started our operation in 2018. In the first RFP of NSDC, we got our license and became a sending organization. And that's when our journey of mobilizing human resource under the TITP program began. So far, we have sent 60 interns to Japan. Even though the pandemic adversely impacted our business, we still managed to send the best interns to Japan. These 60 interns are currently working in different sectors, such as mechanical. Now, if we talk about the mechanical, it's a very huge sector, which includes, for example, it includes metal press, metal cutter, machine operator, CNC operator, etc. Some other job sectors are also there, such as care workers, swing, industrial packaging, construction, electrical assembling unit, etc. If we talk about the numbers of male and female candidate, out of 60 interns, we have sent 38 male candidate and 28 female candidates, which includes 7 candidates from the Northeast India and remaining from different parts of India. Now, coming back to the scheduled departure, till the date, we have successfully provide the job opportunities to the 75 interns who are currently undergoing the training here in India, which again include 48 number of male candidates and 27 of female candidates. So all the female candidates we have able to mobilize from the Northeast India, which is from Manipur, Imphal, Nagaland, Dimapur, and other parts of the Northeast India. Now, the job sector of all the 75 interns are almost similar, as I said earlier, but we were able to add some more job sector for female candidates also, which is electrical assembling unit, plastic molding, etc. Now, the next slide include the opinions from the implementing organization.
Seen some issue with the connection, Gaurav?
Yeah, can you see my screen? Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, sorry for the disturbance. So this slide includes the opinions from the implementing organization. So they feel that Indians are very energetic and cheerful. This increases their productivity. These interns also listen to the instruction very diligently given by the Japanese native, maybe by the supervisor or the president of the company. Now, in this slide, let's have a look what our interns have to say about their experience in Japan. So all of our interns feel safe in Japan and want to keep working there as long as they can. They also feel that now they can easily converse in Japanese language, which was their dream. Please allow me to share a video which will help us to gauge how proficient our interns have become while being in Japan.
Minasan, konnichiwa. 私はマハトサンジラと申します。今、日本に住んで津山みのり学校園の会社で働いています。日本に来て1年ぐらいに経ちました。それで1年ぐらいの間にいろんな経験もしました。それでいろんな経験の中で皆さんにも少し伝えたいです。日本に来て初めは私たちの日本語は上手ではありませんでした。けど日本の雰囲気に住んでいるおかげで私たちの日本語も上手くなってきました。日本人の頑張っている気持ちを見て私も一生懸命頑張りたいと思います。私たちは働いている会社の人たちも優しくて皆さんといい経験になりました。今働いている会社にも一生懸命頑張っています。またチャンスがあれば日本に来て頑張りたいです。よろしくお願いします。
Wow, that's really awesome and make us proud to see how well our interns can communicate. Coming to the my presentation, so basically this slide includes the opinion from the supervising organization. A supervising organization plays the key role under this program. Supervising organizations are in the direct contact with the companies that employ interns under TITP. Due to the shortage of good human resource in other countries also, such as Vietnam, China, etc., these supervising organizations highly rely on our competent Indian interns. Prospects of arms incorporation. So being a sending organization, our main objective is to deliver competent human resource to Japan who have the potential to learn new skills and the Japanese language. These similar skills can be further used in India once our interns return to their country. However, we still face challenges when it comes to mobilizing female candidates who wish to go to Japan and work in different job sectors. Here, I would like to share one more feedback video of our intern where you can see the quality lifestyle they experience in Japan.
Namaste, konnichiwa. My name is Deepika. I'm from Kalimpong, India. Now I live in a beautiful city of Japan since from last 4 months. Before coming here in Japan, I learned Japanese from ARMS India Corporation. I passed N5 and N4 examination within a year. Now I am preparing for N3. After coming here in Japan, I found Japan is the most safest country for girls. Salary-wise is also very good. I can save some capital after sending home also. I am having a quality life over here. I want to thanks to ARMS India Corporation for giving me a chance to come and work in Japan. Thank you so much.
Okay, so in the next slide, in the end, I would like to share one more, in the end, we believe if private and public sector join hands in the TITP program, then TITP can be the best platform for Indian youth to work in Japan through TITP SSW. That's it from my side. Thank you everyone for inviting me on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Gaurav, for your detailed presentation and sharing the videos messages also. I now invite Ms. Takako Ushibushi, CEO Navis India, to share her experience on making Indian workforce to benefit through TITP and SSW schemes. Ms. Takako Ushibushi is involved in human resource training and career placement globally for white and blue collar jobs. Ms. Takako Ushibushi has been living in Bangalore for the last 10 years. Prior to taking the charge as a CEO of Navis India, she founded and established a marketing company in Tokyo, involving in branding and marketing of major manufacturers and services, including hospitals, and also established an India office in 2012. Over to you, Mr. Kaku.
Thank you so much. Okay. Oh. ID.
Yeah, should I share your PPT if you are not able to share? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to make this speech today. I came to India 10 years ago. Have been watching the changes in India over the last decade, but India's market has changed more than any other country in comparison to Japan and India. But in terms of human resources, we are concentrating on white-collar talent. The changes in the top of pyramid, upper-class talent is remarkable. Global companies and startup CEO are appointing women, but we feel that the middle class, which is at the core of the Indian population, needs a change more. Today, I will talk about the empowerment of Indian women in the middle class. See the figures here. India has a population of 1.3 billion and will soon become the most populous country in the world. About half of this population is made up of middle-class people. We realize how important it is to utilize the human resources of India's middle class in order to enhance India's national strengths. And let us not forget that families of these middle-class people are not only male, but also female. We support the household income. Women are a key player in rising income pyramid in India, therefore giving them a place to work and development their skills. This will ultimately lead to the development of India's human resources as a whole. So see this slide. Middle class is currently divided into 3 tiers. The analysis is based on differences in lifestyle. The lower middle class has an annual household income of between 1 lakh and 2 lakh in a year. Their main means of transport is auto rickshaw. They account for 14% of the middle class. And the middle class has an annual household income of between 2 lakhs and 5 lakhs in a year. They are the group that can afford to buy motorbikes, making their lives more mobile. Incidentally, this group is the largest in the middle class with 28%. And then there's the upper middle class. They can own their own car. Annual household income is between 5 lakh and 10 lakh in the year. This class represents only 3% of the middle class. Now, which class do you think the students are sending out there from when they were in India? The answer is that most of them are in the lower middle class. Nurses sent by navies work in Japan as a caretaker through TITP and SSW. They are able to earn a salary of 18 lakhs per year. Can you understand? I'd like to understand all of you how much it has changed their lives. They were lower middle class in India. They have now been upgraded to upper middle class, actually more than that. What this meaning is that skipping just the middle class and jumping to the next tier, 3% of the middle class, it's going to be growing. That's a NAVIS plan to send 400 people a year. So the number will be increased every year. Here, I would like to introduce to all two of our students. The first is Nagarani, who went to Japan in 2019 under TITP and returned to India after 3 years of training. And she is the first Indian nurse to travel to Japan as a care worker. And second student, she is Rashmi, is the first woman to take the exam in India, work in Japan as a SSW. She is set to go to Japan this month. Okay, so Nagarani, please start.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for giving me this opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Boppani Nagarani. I am from Telangana, Hyderabad. I completed my diploma in nursing from Remedy School of Nursing, Hyderabad, Telangana. My strengths are self-motivated, hardworking, and disciplined person. My hobbies are listening music and sports. My goal is to build my career in a good position. And about Navis, I got to know about Navis through a friend. I went to Navis and I heard about TITP training program through the Navis. I attended the exams with the help of Japanese fluent teachers. I completed entry level within 5 months. I passed the entry level. And then with the support of Navis, I went to Japan, Osaka in the year of 2019. And I was working in Oyamazaki Care Home as a caregiver for 3 years. And I successfully completed 3 years training program as a TITP trainee. And about Japanese people, they are very kind and hardworking people. And while working with them, I was like, I want to work like a Japanese people as a caregiver. In the age of 50, 60, 70 years also, they are working like a younger, like very energetic and very enthusiastic. And I'm so proud to be work with Japanese people. And after completing 3 years of training, I came to India. By coming back to India, I got the benefits of PF and chance to go back to Japan and work as a SSW worker without any exam. That is very happy to me. So after coming back to India, I made my sister's marriage with the support of this TITP program. And I got recently married and I built a small home for my family to live a happy life. And this all happened because of TITP Japan, Indo-Japan program. And I want to thank Indian government of Indo-Japan program. And I want to thank Navis for the support and help. And I want to thank this organizers for giving me this opportunity to talk. And thank you everyone and thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Nagarani. So please go ahead, Rashmi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yasmila Ishram. I'm from Manipur, a northeastern state of India. I'm a nurse with 4.5 years experience in liver transplant operation theater. Apart from being a nurse, I enjoy my free time cooking, traveling, learning new languages, and practicing yoga. I'm one of those people who have been dreaming to go to Japan since childhood. After I completed my nursing course, I have been searching ways to work in Japan. At one point of time, I almost gave up until I met a Japanese surgeon named Dr. Hirata Yoshihiro. He came all the way from Japan to work in India. At that point, I make a question to myself, if he can come and work in India, why can't I go and work there? And because of COVID-19, lots of people around the globe has lost their life. And at that moment, I decided to quit my job and study Japanese language because I knew if I die without going to Japan, my soul wouldn't rest in peace. The training which I received from Navis were challenging, fascinating, and rewarding. In JLPT level 4, I score full mark. I don't think I will be able to achieve that without my teachers' guidance. My teachers give 100% effort to each and every student. The most surprising thing about my teachers is they work their working hours just to teach even a single student. And their way of devotion to their work really inspired me. I am one of the first person who is traveling from India to Japan under SSW program. Now I have the opportunity to work at Katsuyama City, which is located at Fukui Prefecture, Japan. Katsuyama is a city filled with nature. The summers are short and the winters are filled with snow. That's what I learned from Google. After I reached there, I want to see many places like Katsuyama Castle Museum. I want to see the way they make the pepper named washi. And because of this program, I have achieved my dream. And now I have a contract to work in Japan for 5 years. Within this period, the facilities where I'm going to work and Navis will help me to clear rest of the JLPT exam. And with that, they will also help me to clear the Kaigo Fukushishi national exam. So if I pass or clear this Kaigo Fukushishi national exam, I will have the privilege to travel to Japan whenever I want. I would like to thank the government of India for the Indo-Japan opportunity and SSW exam in India. I like to thank Navis for carving the path through the training and placement. I like to thank the client who hired me in Japan, and I would like to thank the organization for giving me this opportunity today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Oshibushi, for sharing your presentation, and thank you, Bopani and Ms. Rashmi, for sharing your success stories and your experience with the audience. There is some echo sound coming. Can I request all the speakers to mute their mics? So now we have some questions from the audience. Due to paucity of time, we will be able to take up only few questions only. So the questions we have from the audience, first is for Mr. Satoshi Yunemaru, First Secretary, Embassy of Japan in India. The question is, what will be the first step for the Indian woman who wants to work as a TITP trainee or under the SSW initiative? And what are the advantages for the Indian woman who would like to go to Japan under these two programs?
Okay, thank you for questioning me. And regarding the first question, what the women who want to come to Japan as SSW or TITP should do is, as I mentioned in the presentation material, the list of sending organization is available on the NSDC homepage, and anyone can find that and contact the sending organizations directly. And one of the other ideas is to access the website of the sending organizations directly, not only for the email address or mobile number, because there are several sending organizations which place the information of the recruiting new candidates for TITP or SSW on their homepage, their website. That's why it's efficient and effective, and the maybe shortest way to find the way to pass the border to Japan as SSW or TITP. And as I mentioned in the presentation, sending organizations can manage all procedures to work as SSW or TITP. So it's the best way and the fastest way to attain the objective or goals as SSW or TITP. And regarding the second question, the biggest advantage for women, as I mentioned, gender is not related to the procedures or anything about TITP or SSW. All chances are open to all people, regardless of gender. And as mentioned in other presenters' presentation, it depends on the area, industries, but there are some areas where Japanese accepting organizations seek female workers from other countries, like caregiving or maybe accommodation. So such kinds of areas are the ones maybe it's very easier to come to Japan as SSW or TITP. And the good advantage point, generally speaking, is workers of TITP or SSW can experience a lot of things after coming to Japan, as some SSW workers or TITP workers mentioned just before, as well as getting better salary. So yeah, that's the point. And I'm hoping the TITP workers or SSW workers will become the bridge between Japan and India with respect to cultural issues or economic issues. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Satoshi-san. Now we have the next question for Dr. Avneet Kaur. And the question is, since TITP is an internship program with a maximum duration of 5 years, what future career option does the candidate have at the completion of this tenure?
Sure. Thanks, Dheeraj. I think that's a very relevant question for anyone who is considering why they should take this on and what the future holds for them. So to begin with, TITP is divided into 3 phases: TITP 1, 2, and 3. Phase 1 is up to 1 year. Phase 2 is from 1 to 3 years, and the last phase is post 3 years. At the end of each phase, the candidate can decide to write the required exams and continue for the next phase of TITP. Alternately, at the completion of 3 years, the candidate can also opt for SSW. And with the completion of 3 years in TITP, the candidate would be exempt from writing the SSW sector-specific skill and Japanese language exams, and they can directly convert into SSW by securing a placement contract in the same sector. And finally, the candidate may also decide to return to India and utilize their skills acquired in Japan for companies in India in the same sector. So there is opportunity, as we can see, at several stages. Each year provides some or the other avenue, and people should not feel that they are kind of stuck in one sort of a system for 5 years, because there are various exit and entry options that are there, leading to long-term careers for them in Japan or in India.
And there is one more question for you, Dr. Kaur. Like, how are these training funded or sponsored? And is there any age limit barrier to it? And what qualifications is required for joining this TITP and SSW program?
Sure. So what we'll do is that, there are several aspects to this question. I will quickly put together the responses and send it across to you. I've made a note of, it would be great if you can actually send it again so that we can share a detailed note on the eligibility criteria and other things.
Okay, sure. The next question is for Mr. Gaurav Malhotra. And the question is, women are working in the industry, including food processing and sewing, are in Japan. But many men are still working in this industry from India as well. So how do you plan to increase the opportunities for women to work in the future?
Thank you, Mr. Dheeraj. So that's a very good question, because we all know that in my last slide also I have shown that the ratio of male and female is 30-70. 30% female are going to Japan under this TITP, and 70% are male candidates are going to Japan. However, the requirement from Japan is 50-50. Even more than 50, we can say, in terms of female candidates. So for mobilizing and placing them, the female candidates to Japan, we are creating awareness in all over India, inclusive of all the remote areas such as Northeast or any other remote areas, particularly for the female candidate. Because in India, we know that women are not really want to work in some kind of factory or some kind of automobile plants. However, the demand from Japan, as I just said, is 50-50. So not only the healthcare worker, the demand from Japan is under electronic assembling units such as or maybe in automobile plant also. So these kind of awareness is required, for which our organization is doing our best. Thank you.
Thank you, Gaurav. So due to paucity of time, we will not be able to take up more questions. And I now invite Ambassador Deepa Gopalan Wadhwa, Chairperson IJFF and former Indian Ambassador to Japan, to summarize the session, please.
Thank you very much, Deepak. What a very, very interesting session this has been. It's been informative, interesting, and it's been very reassuring for someone like me who's been associated with Japan. I mean, we had these objectives that we would be able to actually have movement of personnel, as I said, about the demographic complementarities, but to see it in action and hear it from the people who've been involved has been extremely, extremely interesting, I think, for everyone. And I hope that this is going to encourage many more people to actually apply and join these programs. I'd like to thank Mrs. Dalmia for, of course, the kind words on the IGFF and its agenda going forward. And I hope, ma'am, that you will also, associate with us. Ambassador Suzuki, I thank you very much for putting in perspective Japan's emphasis on women's empowerment. I happened to be there when, this, I think this program was launched about, how to establish a society where women shine. And I recall being personally involved in some of these projects over there. I know the emphasis that you give for women in your development cooperation programs. I'm really grateful to hear it from you and for, I'm sure, the others also. All of this really deepens the understanding that we have about Japan and Japan-India relations and how very special it is. Mr. Yonemura, I think what you said was so important. You said one thing, you said it's win-win for both countries. And indeed it is. It really is win-win for both countries. I think, when you talk about, when we heard about the experiences that the women have when they've gone there, it's economic empowerment, they've been able to do much better, they feel safe in that country, they feel accepted in that country. In Japan, though it may seem from here that it's something quite different culturally from India. And I think this is a great message that you have given to us. Also, thank you for talking about the challenges. I think these challenges about lack of awareness, the limited, the venues that are there for the exam and the limited industries, I think this is very important. And we heard also Ms. Avneet Kaur talk about this, and I'm sure that they will be looking at it as how we can handle these challenges that there are. Ms. Kaur, also, I think eligibility, there will have to be a little more information on eligibility put out so that people can understand and who can apply and how they can. Both the sending organizations, I think the real, first-hand experiences of the young ladies who had gone to Japan and, what they feel about it. I mean, it was very, very heartwarming. And I saw the way that, elderly Japanese women are responding to our young nurses and our care workers. And I think this is a wonderful image that we will all take back after this session. So in summing up, one must say that, when we started off, I thought this would be just about information about these two programs. In fact, what has happened is that hearing from everyone, I think it's much more than just information. We go away with a very good feel and the belief that there is huge potential in these programs. And I think in this area of cooperation, India and Japan are just at the beginning, and that there's a long way to go. And again, this will be a win-win for both of our countries. So thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you to FICCI. Thank you to the Embassy of Japan and everyone who participated.
Thank you, Ambassador Wadhwa, for summarizing the session. I hope today's session will benefit the Indian audience, present here, and they will take the leverage of this both the TITP and SSW schemes, and the greater exchanges of skills will take place between India and Japan. I thank you all. Thank you all for joining with us today for today's program. So we end here, over here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
ठीक है धीरज, अच्छे से हो गया, लॉग आउट कर लेते हैं।
एंड करते हैं, लॉग आउट करना तो एंड ही करते हैं।
हाँ, रिकॉर्डिंग दे दीजिएगा राजकुमार जी।
रिकॉर्डिंग जैसी अपलोड होगी मैं दे दूंगा।
हाँ
राजकुमार जी, आप ऑफिस में हो? यहाँ तो लाइट चला गया था।
हाँ, ऑफिस में ही हूँ।
अच्छा,
लाइट हमारे यहाँ भी चली गई थी, यूपीएस में हो गया था, बाई चांस वो चल रहा था।
मुझे भी लगा कहीं कुछ बीच में इंटरप्ट ना हो जाए।
नहीं, इसलिए मैंने को होस्ट बना दिया था वृंदा को ना, अगर जाती भी तो वो शिफ्ट हो जाता ऑटोमेटिक।